Books have always been an important part of my life, and as an artist, they come in handy whenever I might be feeling uncreative or simply want to be inspired. In today's video, I'm excited to show you quite an extensive list of books in my collection that I often turn to when I need a little boost of inspiration. The first set of books I'll be showing you will be from the Art of Studio Ghibli book series, the first of which being from the Art of Howl's Moving Castle. As with many other artists, Studio Ghibli has been a huge inspiration ever since childhood and has helped me along my own creative journey. I love to go through these books and look at the old character designs and concept art, but I especially enjoy studying the beautiful landscapes and backgrounds. The second book is The Art of My Neighbor Totoro. My Neighbor Totoro was the first Ghibli film I ever saw as a kid, and so it has a very special place in my heart. Totoro also has some of my favorite landscapes out of any of the Ghibli films. The third book is The Art of the Tale of Princess Kaguya. I absolutely love the background art for this film, especially how they convey so much with so little. As someone who paints with watercolor, I've also learned many techniques by studying the art in this film. It's definitely one of the more underrated Ghibli films. There's something so nostalgic about the art style, and it reminds me of a lot of children's books I used to read. The fourth book is The Art of Princess Mononoke. Princess Mononoke is my favorite Studio Ghibli film of all time. I love the epic story, the world building, the art, the music, everything about it. One day I would love to have the full collection of these books. I've been slowly buying them or being gifted them over the years, and I still have many more to go. The fifth book in this video is quite a special one to me. It's called Tokyo Storefronts and is the first book ever created by my favorite illustrator, Mateusz Urbanowicz. Mateusz is a Polish illustrator who has been living and working in Japan for a long time. I have been following his work for many years and he has been my biggest inspiration. I think I've seen every video he's ever made and have bought every one of his books so far. I will link his YouTube and Instagram account in the description below, and I highly recommend checking out his beautiful work. On his YouTube channel, he posts the process for many of these storefront illustrations that are in this book. I love how magical he makes each of these storefronts look, and I really appreciate that he oftentimes will add some of the histories to the shops as well. For the sixth book, we have Tokyo at Night, which is another book created by Mateusz. I can't get over how he perfectly encapsulates that feeling of being in a city at nighttime. These illustrations are also a bit more realistic and detailed than his Tokyo storefront pieces. The seventh book is the last one by Mateusz that I own, and it is just as wonderful as his other books. During one of his trips to Hokkaido, he made many sketches with ink of the sights he saw, and decided to make a little travelogue book. I really like the simplicity of this, and would like to create something similar of my own in the future. Our eighth book is quite a fun one. Minnie Small is another artist that I've been following for many years. During one year, she made this cute little book of her Inktober drawings, which were based on essentials for potion makers and spellcasters. I love being able to support fellow artists and to have a little bit of their work in my collection so that I can share it with others. At number 9, The Wheel of the Year is a wonderful book about celebrating and noticing the beauty of the changing seasons. Jessica Roux' illustrations are so cozy and beautiful, and the book includes many different ways to celebrate the seasons, such as seasonal crafts, activities, rituals, recipes, educational notes, and much more. It's also a great book for children and families. The next few books are very special books from my childhood, the first two being different versions of my favorite folktale of all time, the Slavic tale of Vasilisa the Beautiful and Baba Yaga. This story is very special to me as I first heard it from a storyteller and librarian who also taught at my school. I will never forget sitting on the floor, enthralled by this story and the way she told it. I love the story so much that I actually wrote an entire play based off of the 3 horsemen characters who briefly appeared in the story. I would like to restart this childhood project of mine one day, perhaps writing a short story or making an animated film. At number 12, Heckedy Peg is another favorite book of mine from my childhood. I always loved to stare at the warm, cozy illustrations and imagine how the food in the pictures tasted, and I always wanted to live in a cute little cottage like theirs. I still enjoy picking up this book and reading it as an adult all these years later. The next 2 books have been featured before in a previous video, but I just had to bring them back, especially since I'm constantly pulling them off the shelf to look at them. I absolutely love medieval manuscripts, and I often find myself buried in these books, marveling at the craftsmanship that these works of art required. I've been practicing some of my own illuminated letters and patterns lately, and studying these pages have been really useful. The next 3 books are all about urban sketching and keeping a sketchbook to record your surroundings. This first book is called The World of Urban Sketching, and it is my favorite out of the 3, mostly because of how it's organized. I love urban sketching, and I especially love to look at these books for inspiration. Every person has a completely different style and way of seeing the world. It's a wonderful way to see how they view their surroundings and the things that they focus on. Some are extra sketchy and done quickly. Others take their time and focus on the details. Some use lots of color, while others stick to using a simple pen or pencil and not add any color whatsoever. Some focus on the people, others the landscape or the buildings, and then some love to draw the foods they've eaten or the objects around them. For our 18th book, we have Cómo leer ciudades, or How to Read Cities in English. The reason that this book is in Spanish is because I bought it when I was living in Mexico, but you can find the English version as well. This book talks about the many different types of architecture that spans across the world, as well as time. It's a great book to use as reference for drawing buildings, which is what I use it for, as that's an area that I struggle with a lot. There's also a great mix of both photographs and drawings, which I really appreciate about this book. At number 19, we have Around the World in 80 Trees, which is exactly what it sounds like. This book features 80 trees from all around the world and contains many stunning illustrations. If you like trees, I definitely recommend this one. At number 20, A Life in Hand is a book I discovered through Danny Gregory, who runs the Sketchbook School YouTube channel. In this book, Hannah Hinchman talks about the importance, both psychologically and emotionally, of keeping an illustrated journal. It's also a very reflective book that has some beautiful writing and sketches. Our 21st book is probably one of my favorite books that I've found in the last few years. Edith Holden kept this illustrated journal back in 1906, and it takes you through an entire year of her life. Inside, there are some beautiful illustrations and writing made with gorgeous handwriting, along with poetry and notes that she made over the seasons. Book number 22 is a book about creating Celtic art and patterns. As I mentioned before, I've been practicing illuminated scripts and patterns, and a lot of the medieval manuscripts use these Celtic designs. This is one of the better books I've found on this subject, and it even includes a section on lettering, which I really like. This is a very useful book if you're into the style or would like to learn. Now we are finally at our last book. This is a delightful book on British villages that I found in a little library in a local park I go to often. The book features 700 of these villages all across the UK. It was made in 1980, so it's a bit outdated, but it's still a lovely resource for anyone who likes these quaint areas, and it's also a nice reference book for artists. If you've made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, even though it was a little bit different than my usual stuff.